Hi guys, how is your week going? I hope it's going better than mine. But well, this is what this video is all about. So I want to be honest with you all because I'm always giving, well, I'm not really giving you advice. I'm kind of interpreting it and presenting it to you and trying to be compassionate and honest. And, you know, so anyways, I want to talk to you guys about a kind of very profound experience that I've been through this week. And I do a little bit forget about the videos that I make for all the signs. I mean, I get right into them when I'm doing it and I can understand the message. I'm sorry, I'm really slurring over my orthodontic device today. But then I'll go back throughout the week and I'll start watching them a bit. Just, and I'll try, oh yeah, I remember that. So I got into the Capricorn one. Oh my God, I think I stole your readings. I'm so sorry. Wow. But I didn't know it at the time because it wasn't relevant to my life yet. Like it was still, when I recorded that, everything that was about to happen hadn't even happened yet. Like it was 3 or 4 days into the future. So I just went through, I would just, the only way I can describe it is, I want to change the phrasing of it though. Typically we all have heard it described as a dark night of the soul. But I saw in my feed, it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And it said, it's not the dark night of the soul, it's the dark night of the ego. Because the soul is already, the soul, it is so true, because the soul is pure. We all need to change that. I can't remember who had that, I think it was just in their own community post. Someone had that. That's brilliant. This totally, kudos to whoever that was. If you know who it was, please put it in the comments, give them credit. Because it makes so much sense. So, I've just been going through like a whack-a-mole. I feel like a whack-a-mole. I feel like the mole on the whack-a-mole board right now, trying to find a new place to live. Bidding wars and just saying to myself, well, I'm not going to really engage in that very much. Yeah, pay you a whole bunch of money to rent a place. I don't know. You know what? I'm really stubborn and maybe a little bit arrogant. But when it comes to me, to defending my own rights, like, I will. So I was getting really frustrated because then there was, oh gosh. There's really, like, there's a shortage of rentals in my area, and I think it's all over the place right now. And there's bidding wars going. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's the middle of a pandemic. So it's also trigger. There's a lot of stuff that's triggered me this week. I'm going to tell you stuff that's triggered me. And that was a big one. I mean, I actually wrote to 2 media outlets about it because I feel like on a social level that is really wrong. Why is that not being reported? Nobody knows about it. It's out here now. Share it. Let everybody know that there's bidding wars in residential rentals and leasing in the middle of a pandemic, when the government is actually talking about trying to keep people safe so they don't end up homeless. They're not doing shit. It's just, anyways, smoke and mirrors. But we all know that. So yeah, that really upset me because I believe that everybody should have the right to stability, security, health. Anyway. That's my utopian world, right? So we won't get all into that. So that's really been triggering me, my social consciousness. And I am fortunate enough that I have choices. But things have been going on this week that have made me feel like I don't. And it's really triggered me. And I was, before I made this video, I thought, what's the best way to describe kind of how I felt the last few days? So here it is. So this is it. So imagine a superhero. And I want to say I'm a superhero. I've done a lot of super things for myself. And I acknowledge myself for that. And I'm recognizing myself for the things that I've really come through in life. And I'm going to tell you about some of it in this video. Because that was a big part of like looking at, why is this bothering me so much? And realizing it goes all the way back to like where I started in life and where I am now, and how hard I've worked to get here. So, where was I going? Yeah, I don't remember now. Oh yeah, the story. So, a superhero. Like, imagine, I don't know, maybe Spider-Man's a good example of that because he's the youngest one I can sort of think about. So, a young superhero, and let's say there's a nemesis, there's a villain, and you never can take him down. Every time he beats you, it's like, shit. And then for whatever reason, and you and this villain, you separate. You're not involved anymore with each other. Spider-Man's gone on to do other things. And he's really learning to apply all of the lessons and the struggles and the villains that he's fought over time. And these villains are the triggers and the circumstances and the people and the instances that happen in your life that are there to help you grow. Well, they're there to help you make a choice. Do you want to grow? Or which way do you want to go? That was also really profound in Sagittarius is reading about, oh no, Scorpio. Well, Sagittarius had profound. Some interesting readings this week. Scorpios, right? It was about that parrot. But really what it was about was, if you make this choice, it brings your vibrational energy up here. If you make this choice, it brings it down here. Either way, you're probably going to get to your success, but it's going to be a long, hard road going on this side of it. So, yeah, that's kind of like what this villain is to me, and that's how I see it, and trying to make it into a very tangible, what we can see in our minds, because I can see it in my mind, and I know everyone doesn't see everything like I do, so I'm trying to describe it for you like that. So the villain is gone. He's gone off to do other things. So Spider-Man has actually worked up and taken on some really good villains and taken them down and brought justice into the world, and you know, things are all good. And then when least expecting it, like years, 20, 30 years later, this villain shows up and he's slamming Spider-Man into the wall, like just slamming him in there. And everything he can, it's like every lesson he learned after that villain, he's trying to apply it to this one, and he can't. It's not working. Why? Why is this not working? And then it's like the scene. Here's the scene. So this has been me this week. And literally, at one point, like in a fetal position, with the blanket over me, and my dog Lily. No. Being under the rubble. Being like buried by the rocks that, you know, this villain has thrown Spider-Man into over and over again. And then the wall is just crumpled down on him, and he's laying there under the rubble, feeling like he's got nothing left. Like I have nothing left. I can't conquer this one. And then the villain kind of walks up to the rubble and says in like a very taunting, in ridicule, you know, like ridicule and taunting at Spider-Man. You know, I knew you would never conquer me. You don't have it in you. You're weak, you know. And you can just see your burn. It's like, and that's what happened to me. So I blew up at the devil, at my villain, which is the devil, which is interesting because I was trying to tie it together. And I thought, because I saw the Capricorn, I went into it this morning not even thinking about what I went through last night. Like I conquered the villain last night. My son was asleep, Lily was laying on the bed, and I was in the bathroom getting ready. And all of a sudden, I just became overwhelmed by the fact that I felt so defeated. And I thought to myself, I have been through so much more than this in my lifetime, and so much more than this year. And I have not felt this defeated. And I was trying to figure it out. And I could see it like, it's almost like it kept poking at me, you know, like the villain doesn't realize that what they're doing is you're actually, the more he's poking at Spider-Man under the rubble, like he had him beat, but it wasn't enough for the villain. It wasn't enough for the devil. He had to keep poking. But maybe that's the whole point. The universe does that to you, right? The devil is your friend. Well, he's my bitch now. Sorry. So there might be some bad words in this because it had to come out. It was like just sitting inside me. And it was so many things that got triggered throughout the week in me. Just because of the life that I've led and where I've come from and where I am and what I've seen and how I see it. And there it was, the epitome, the epitome of where I came from was just like poking at me and stabbing at me. And that's why it felt so defeating. It was defeating me because it's something from like birth that was poking at me. And I thought I conquered it by leaving it behind, by kind of overcoming, going beyond it. I wouldn't say overcoming it. It felt like overcoming it by going beyond it. But I hadn't really overcome it until I met it face on again at a different level in life. And I put that bitch in its place. I really did. So, yeah. So I was in the bathroom. I was so upset. I was just like between tears and defeat. And all of a sudden it just came from, and I think that's that Aries Mars energy. It just went like, this is nothing. And I realized as I was getting angry, and I didn't realize why yet. It had to burn through me. It had to. So anyone that talks about like, you know, soul work, your spiritual journey, there are really good points in it, and there are beautiful points where, you know, you have kind of eureka moments, but you can never go to the higher plateau until you've just beat the crap out of that last villain, right? Because it's always going to be there. It's always going to be sitting in the shadows until you beat that one down. And then you can move forward because you know it'll never be back there. It'll never be on your back again. So I got really mad, and I could almost see the devil. I felt like it's the devil holding me back, and I hadn't thought about what it represented yet. I just knew it wasn't going to beat me. That was enough. Literally, I talked bad to it. I told it who it was. I used some bad words. I told it where it could go, and I told it to F off, and it would never touch me again. And then as I started standing up for myself in this energy that was surrounding me and defeating me, like this rubble that had like pushed me down and held me down, I really, this feeling of realizing that it will never keep me, like once I stood up to it, once I lifted all that rubble off and I looked at right, I literally, to me, I could visualize him, like Satan himself was standing right there, and he didn't own a little bit of me even, like nothing. I had everything on this guy. I had everything. And I had to work through this, like realizing every time you try to pull me down, you find a weakness in my armor and you try to use that. So that's what will happen. The triggers, the weakness in your armor. Why is it triggering you? That is the most important thing to look at in life. Why is something triggering you? Because until you can figure that out, until you can understand it, you can't defeat it. And then it'll always be there and it'll hold you back. So I realized that every time you've done this, from day one in my life, I've stood up again. And every time I've stood up again, I've made it harder for you to pull me back, right? This is how this works. So every single time something triggers you or something tries to pull you back, something tries to hold you down from who you are or where your spirit wants to go, you come up stronger. And because of that, it requires more effort and negative force, negative energy to hold you back the next time to try to do it. So eventually it gets to the point, and I had this little discussion with kids, call it my own devil. You can call it the negative energy that just exists throughout the universe and earth, because there is dark and there is light and there is high and there is low. That, you know, you don't want to do this anymore with me because I keep defeating you. And every time I do, I'm stronger. And you know that you're getting weaker. So that was my little discussion with this energy that I've been dealing with this week. Don't even try it anymore. Don't. Because I stood up now. I'm standing up, and then I started to see it. I started to see it, and I got so angry. I just got so angry. And that really burned it through. And I almost to the point where I could see the devil standing in front of me. After I was done with him, he was like shriveled up and looked like a little tiny lizard. Like with really saggy skin, and he ran into a corner, and I'm like, you can stay there, bitch, because I am done with you. You're my bitch now. Like, I own you. That was how that went. It really did. I own you. So yeah, I was total Queen of Swords. It started off Queen of Swords. I was cutting him up and chopped off his balls, and fed him to him. I'm sorry if that bothers anyone, but it had to be done. It's the devil. So yeah, and then I erupted. So then the Queen of Wands came out. And I realized, like, no, I own this fire. You don't own it. I come from this space of fire, from the volcanic lava that sits within the earth. This is me. This is my strength. Don't even try it, because I own your home. So don't you mess with me. I was really, like, really upset at this energy. And then, but then I realized, I mean, that's the big thing here. You realize once you meet it and you address it, it can't take you down in that form again. And every time it tries, it gets weaker because you're getting stronger from every lesson. So then I realized, why is this triggering me so much? So I have to give you some information on what I'm going through. So yeah, there's been bidding wars. It was one place that I thought was so great, but I'm not going to put myself in the poorhouse because it has everything I've ever wanted. It's particularly leasing. Like I've owned homes before, and I plan on owning one again, but I'm not in that position right now. So this is where I am. So in A, yes, I am feeling a bit of like my options are limited. And I just kept hitting like one after another, after another, after another. Like you fill out the agreement and then you don't hear back and it expires. It's about to expire. And yet like I'm using a real estate agent and they're going back and forth with another real estate agent. And that agent saying, well, I'm trying to get a hold of the landowner in China, but I haven't been able to get a hold of them. And thinking like, does this person really want to lease out the place? And part of me saying, well, I don't want to sit here and keep waiting. Maybe I should look for something else. Anyways, it got crazy, and then there was a phone call from my agent. And this person, they finally got a hold of the landowner in China. But then they have like 7 odd requests. Really weird. We didn't even get through all 7 of them. And she just said, let's just put the paperwork and see what they send back, and then we'll just cross stuff out. I have not, all the times I bought a home, I have not dealt with like this. It's just crazy. Anyways, so what I realized was I'm feeling the entrapment of what I like to call bad Hierophant energy. Bad Hierophant and bad Emperor energy. There's a lot of that on this planet, and I'm done with it. I'm really done with it. So, because, okay, so this is my story. I was not one born with a lot of advantage in life, probably very little. So my parents were teenagers when they had me. The first place that I lived in as a baby with my parents, anyone who is familiar with Canada, Ontario, I don't know, maybe not all parts of Canada are familiar with the Jane and Finch area. Like that's where it's a tough area. It wasn't as tough in the 70s as it became. It's gotten better, but it's still a hard area. So anyways, like, I have had to like fight and claw and grew up feeling suppression because when you do not have money or you do not have resources, you don't have choices. It's that simple. And that's kind of like where I came from. So I've had to work as hard as I could with what I have and try to gain things, and often feeling like pushed down or suppressed or held back, confined by what felt like very unfair circumstances. Just, you know, it's not right. And I mean, I wasn't even able to, I couldn't go to university. I could only go to college because I couldn't afford it. And when I came out of college, I had a lot of debt, but you know what? I met it head on. I've always tried to meet this stuff head on. I lived in a tiny little bachelor apartment that had mice and cockroaches in it so that I could pay my debt off as fast as possible, right? Like I've always tried to, it just feels like my whole life has been a struggle up against this. And you finally get to a point where I feel like, okay, I'm getting myself into a position where I can have choices and I can have freedom, but really, the whole point in all of that is for your soul and your spirit to feel free and to really be able to express and live your life in your highest good. Like I'm not really trying to do anything to have a big mansion. I would really be fine. My real estate agent and I agreed, the both of us, because there's like a log cabin in the woods. That would be good. But that, as simple as that seems, it's also not that easy to obtain. So I realized that this was triggering all of those feelings of lack, all of those feelings of being suppressed, all of those feelings of being, just not having choices and not having options, and everything being out of your control, and all you can really do is take one step at a time and hope for an opening somewhere in life. Because that's what it's like for people that come from very little, is to just watch for that opening and take advantage of it and move into it, you know, and try to make that grow. it's almost like following like someone who has a lot of abundance. Like if you can picture this little tiny child, because I'm sad, I picture like a little orphan and just trying to find something that falls in the pockets of the Hierophant or the false emperor. Yeah, like, and then I realized that's what this is. But then I looked at myself and I looked in the mirror and I said, I play this game, I know how it goes, and I'm changing the rules. And that was it. So I've changed the rules. So I own the game now. That's it. I own the game. That's all. I own the game now. I started this board game from like the bottom and I own this shit. I own the devil's my bitch and I'm not doing this. So anyways, I think I'm going to get the place with all these weird requests because a lot of them are like, no. I'm not doing that. Yeah. So that's how this stuff works, man. Like, oh gosh, like it's not something that I thought would still bother me because I really felt like I've moved past that. I've moved beyond that. But it's just also like, I will never forget that. I mean, where I've been and where I've come from and how hard I've had to work. But every time, anyone I see in that circumstance, I know where you're coming from. I know what it's like. I absolutely do. But one of the things that I think about now when I was a kid, because we eventually moved to community Etobicoke, which is a community within Toronto. And it is a very defined area of kind of like, I think it's a little better now, but back then, really, it was quite an interesting area to grow up on because down on the lakeshore, if you rode your bike down on the lakeshore early enough in the morning, this is in the 70s and 80s, so this is not something that was very common, but all the hookers and transvestites and everything were out. Like, interesting. This is where I'm growing up. It's pretty cool. I don't know. And it was very multicultural. Like for that time period, there were kids in my class. They were black. They were brown. They were literally like last names like Matuziak and Kwan. I don't know. It's just like literally it was a melting pot of everything. And we didn't see each other differently in any way. Really didn't. But it was interesting because I guess at some point my parents had managed to get us sort of in like the lower middle class. And I was kind of at that end. But there was another end, like I had some other friends that lived in a much more wealthier area. And yeah, she even had a fireplace in her bedroom. Wow, and they had a big pool, and they had the lake on the other side of the pool. I was like, this is so amazing. But now I look back at that, and I think about like how I felt, how that made me feel, and what I thought when I saw that, because I had a very tiny little house. Yeah, that was a 2-bedroom house, like that was it. And I look back at that and I thought, you know, I never ever, I don't ever remember feeling like envious or jealousy. I just remember thinking, wow, people can live like this. This is pretty cool. Like, wow, this is so neat. And so I think too, it's important, like if you ever feel beaten down or like you don't have as much as what the world may have to offer, is to just find beauty in the possibilities of what can be there and not allow any negative or devil energy to take over that. Because as soon as you do that, you lose the possibility of growing into something amazing and abundant and being able to share that with others. I mean, that's all I would ever really like to be able to do, is to share abundance in anything that I have with others, because there's only so much that one person needs. I can't understand why people need to be billionaires. It just blows my mind away. They're stupid. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I went through. In that Capricorn reading, I watched it today and I thought, my God, it's my reading. And I didn't understand that either. I thought, well, how is that Capricorn? I don't have any Capricorn. But of course, we all have house placements. So my 8th house is in Capricorn. And what is that? That's like death and sex and taxes. Oh boy, that seems complicated. But anyway, so that was like my dark night of the ego. Yeah, right? Because my soul knows its journey. And my soul is really what stood me up, and I don't feel any bits of rubble or dust on me after that villain came through with me this week and really pushed me down. Because that villain woke up everything inside of me from where I've been. And I really feel like though I just had to address that and put it away, like I said, because once Spidey can put that old villain away and know that it'll never come back, I mean, you only have the future ahead of you. So that's how I like to look at that. And that's my shadow work. Like, I was in a dark place, and I was honestly thinking, like, I don't understand why this is defeating me so much. And I feel great. Like, even if I don't get the place, well, it's fine. I'm going to find something. And it's going to be mostly on my terms. Because that's what it is. That's how I'm doing it. I'm sorry. Yeah, but, you know, like, really empower yourself by allowing yourself to feel, to own whatever you're going through. And I gave myself that time. One of my friends, she sent me a message and she said, you know, it sounds like you're going through a lot. I hope you're taking some time for yourself. And I said, I am. Like I did. Like yesterday was a total mental health day for me. It really was a total mental health day for me. And I think because I took that for myself, I maybe, like I had at one point, I don't know how many naps I had. I had one nap that was an hour and a half. And I had another half-hour nap. And just, I sat in those feelings. And it took me a long time to recognize why I was being bothered so much about the situation. So yeah, there you go. I shared it with you. And yeah, I'll probably do some readings today. Because I feel all spicy. That's funny, spices. Yeah, so here's the thing too. I woke up this morning feeling like nothing's holding me back and nothing's tying me down, not even me. So I don't know what kind of readings you're going to get this week. Like, some of you might get a fairy reading and some of you might not. I'm going with what I'm feeling I should do for you. And I think that's the most authentic way to serve messages to each of you. If I sit down and I think that Capricorn reading was also really meant for me. Like, just don't. Right? I had this layout. I encourage you to go and watch it. It's a fascinating reading where I pull out these cards and I'm not supposed to look at that. And it too, because it's my past. I'm only supposed to learn the lesson from it to defeat it and move on. I'm not supposed to dwell in it. So I just pushed it away, and I didn't really understand it at the time as a reader, but I could feel it so strongly. Like, don't focus on that. Don't. Just learn from it and move forward. And I said, like, I had a plan and I feel like I'm not supposed to do it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm like really going to try to be totally authentic with however I think you're supposed to receive a message. If I think it's how your person feels, which I'm not a big fan of doing, I'm going to do it. If it's a fairy reading, you're going to get it. If it's a deep spiritual reading, you're going to get it. Don't be upset if Aquarius gets a fairy reading and then you get a high priestess reading. You know what? Watch them all. Watch them all. Because really, the more I learn about myself and the elements of the universe that we are all a part of, because each one of us is made up of stardust. It's so basic and it's so simple, but it's so deep and so true. So to imagine that we are not connected to all of the energy of the universe is it's really naive, and it's not empowering you enough. So, you know, they say a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, and it is. Because sometimes people just get so hung up on, well, my sun sign is this, so this is who I am. But we all know, you can know an Aquarius that was like this and another one like that. And it has so much to do with all the other placements and how that shows up for them. So now I am becoming fascinated by my house placements. So I know my first house has got some busy stuff going on in there. I've got like Gemini, Mercury, Venus. There's all sorts of stuff going on in there. But yeah, my Capricorn in my 8th house. Damn, I didn't see that coming. So, that's the thing, huh? Yeah. That's all I got for you. Oh yeah, and I'm in a different spot again. I'm actually kind of in the same, I can see like right there is the table that I was sitting at. I'm in the kitchen now, so there's a bit of an island, and it's one of my, you can't, you know, maybe I'll show it to you. Sitting behind me is one of my favorite pieces of artwork that I have, and most of the artwork in the house that isn't something that I've created is pieces that I got just before the first kind of like lockdown back last year. It's a consignment store. They have a couple locations in Ontario, and yeah, I got a lot, like even my dining room set, a lot of it's antiques, things that, you know, and sometimes you feel kind of sad because you have a feeling that you know where it comes from. It's probably someone's folks or an aunt or an uncle has passed away, and you know, they've got nice furniture because the old stuff is nice. It's pretty nice. It's solid wood, brass fittings, all that stuff. But, you know, they don't want to throw it out, so they bring it to places like this, and you can buy it. So that's what I went and I did, not realizing we were going into a lockdown. I got a few pieces from there, like furniture, and particularly artwork. And this one is, I think this was this is an oil. This is an oil painting. And, oh, I love it. And so, where it's sitting, because my sink is right there. So when I'm at the sink, I just see this beautiful piece of artwork on the wall. And here, I'll show you. Let me, how do I do this? I'm gonna turn the handle. Here we go. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. So if I don't have a, like, well, I do have a window over there. But looking like straight head on, I have this nice beautiful piece of artwork that oh dear. I just lost my rock. So you're crooked for a second. Oh, where is it? Yeah, I lost a little nut on my my tripod, so I use a quartz rock to keep it level, right? You know, I like to think of myself a little bit like what's that red green? If the women don't find you handsome, they should find you handy. So I try to apply that for myself too. No, did I get that? I don't know if my rock's gonna follow me. Okay, there we go. Here. All right, so I feel really good. I feel so much better. I have no idea yet where I'm gonna live. Or no, unless I got an email or anything from my, I have nothing yet. Oh, they wanted my driver's license, so I think it's looking good. Yeah, no, nothing from my yeah, well, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go live in the woods in a cardboard box. I could do that too. I'm cool with that. Yeah, because you know what? I'll have my freedom and nothing will make me feel like I'm being controlled or held back or held down. It's all good. Defeated the last villain from my past. I'm ready to move forward. So there you go. Thank you guys. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. I would love to hear your stories in the comments, ways that you've approached shadow work, even things that you feel like you're not feeling good about and you haven't been able to identify it yet. If you feel comfortable talking it out, I like to think that this is a fairly safe space. One of the things you may have noticed, and it's interesting how YouTube works. So when I started my channel, I want to say that like 70 to 80% of the views that I would get on my channel were not subscribers. And then the other percentage were. I just thought that's so weird. And when I look back on it though, because I think YouTube moves stuff around. Like they will promote this for a while and then they'll promote that for a while. And you know, I have a feeling it will come back around again where it'll shift and change, and let's all be ready for that because there's going to be a profound change in the comment section. That's what I noticed was back then, there used to be a lot more negativity in the comment section and people were really hard and harsh and dark and aggressive. That went, for the most part, went away. As I've noticed in the background, the algorithm where it's completely switched now, like about 80% of the views that I get are my subscribers. So I would like to say that I feel like right now this is a fairly safe place, and I've noticed that, except for the porn bots. I just gave up on the porn bots. Oh well, they're there. Maybe that's because Capricorn is in my 8th house. I don't know. So I have porn bots all over my channel. in the comment. Maybe you don't notice them, but if you click on the image, it's like literally a woman naked from the waist up. And I'm like, how is that allowed? Anyways. So yeah, share whatever you want in the comments. And I really like to think that you can help each other, talk it out and work it out. And don't be afraid to go, you know, if I could have gone out into the woods and screamed at the top of my lungs and swore like every dark, deep energy of anger and suppression and hate. I hate the devil. But I turned that right around and made him my bitch. So yeah, now he hates me. Yeah. Oh, a red cardinal just came. See, I'm getting support. Yeah. But yeah, I'm all fire right now. Queen of Wands. It's like ready to go. So I'm just gonna, I should do something here. Yeah. What time is it? Oh yeah, I have time too to make some videos before I have to get lunch ready for my son. Yeah. That's all. Okay. Great. So I'll let you know what goes on with the house thing. If I end up with a new home or, I don't know. But it's funny, I don't care. I kind of released it. I don't care anymore. And that is all just my own conditioning that made me care. So I've moved past my conditioning. I feel like I have. I hope I have. Because I do feel like that, to move past your conditioning is a big part of really claiming who you are and who you are meant to be in this lifetime. Because we are meant to change the world. It's been changing for tens of thousands of years. But it's resistant. But we're persistent, so. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for letting me share with you. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.